Welcome to My Wife Hates Musicals. The only way I could get my wife to watch The Music Man. Hi guys, welcome back. So we did just watch Music Man 1962 by Meredith Willson.
Well, not just.
Not just. It's been a couple of days.
I've had time to ruminate.
Yeah. So this time we did something a little bit different because this is really the first time that there have been two movie versions of the same musical. So we watched both the 1962 version starring
Robert Prado?
Robert Prado, yes.
And Shirley Jones.
So yes, we watched the 1962 version with Robert Prado and Shirley Jones.
We are well on our way to becoming the Shirley Jones podcast.
Yeah, Shirley Jones has been in 3 out of the 4
that we've seen.
Robert Preston.
Oh, shit.
Robert Preston.
Why did I think Robert Prado? Is that even a person?
I think Robert Pardo is a person.
I'm gonna look this up. Oh god, I hope it's not a bad person.
But anyway, starring Robert Preston, Shirley Jones, and Buddy Hackett. And Buddy Hackett is a fun little piece of history. You have heard his voice, I guarantee it. He was the voice of... now I can't remember.
Scuttle.
Yeah, he was the voice of Scuttle in The Little Mermaid.
Mm-hmm.
Great comedic actor. Not a great singer, I will say. But that's okay. He only has one song, and it's the worst song in the musical. And that's not his fault. Yeah, so this one was great. So we watched the Robert Preston version, and then we also watched the 2003 version starring Matthew Broderick and Kristen Chenoweth.
That was a thing.
And that was also a thing. So what we thought we would do is do a little bit of compare and contrast between the two. Because, I mean, spoilers here, but we really, really liked the 1962 version. But not so much the 2003. The 2003 was kind of mid for a lot of different reasons. And the comparison between the two, I think, is pretty interesting.
Yeah, like they're very... Okay, so for me, we've watched a lot of musicals so far, and like, you can kind of tell if I'm enjoying a show by how many notes I have afterwards. And I really, like, for watching 2 versions of this musical, I have as many notes as I had for 1 version of Oklahoma. I actually really enjoyed The Music Man, and we watched the 62 version first, and I think it probably was a good thing because it's the better version of the 2, so, like, I actually got to just straight enjoy it. Because if I had watched the Matthew Broderick version first, I don't know if I would have enjoyed the 62 version as much, because I just would have been not as engaged.
Right, there's something about the novelty that engages you.
Yeah, like seeing it for the first time, I was actually, the plot for the most, with one big exception, the plot is very tight, it moves, like, it's an interesting story, I wanted to know what was going to happen.
Oh, are you talking about the one scene? The native scene?
Oh, that's not even the thing that broke plot for me. Like, that was typical of the era. Like, that didn't surprise me. There is one scene that completely doesn't need to be in this movie, and is the reason that it will keep it from getting a really good score. One of the
that's not a scene, it's a number.
Yeah, but that one number essentially stops the momentum.
But anyway, we'll get there. We'll get there.
But aside from that, I actually really enjoyed it, and I was kind of beginning to wonder if, like, I was actually developing Stockholm Syndrome. Until we hit that number, and I was reminded of why I hate musicals to begin with. And then I was like, oh, thank God, I am still myself. I remain clean and pure and untainted.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But... So let's jump right into it. So like I said, this was 1962. The 1962 version starred... Forgot the guy's name again. Robert Preston and Shirley Jones.
Let's just get into it.
And
you have more facts?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And was written by Meredith Willson.
Oh, yeah.
Directed by Morton DaCosta, who I didn't look up anything about, really, because I didn't care that much.
You don't have that rabbit hole-tism.
Meredith Willson, I found really, really interesting.
Tell us about it, Janet.
So, Meredith Willson, unlike say, Rodgers and Hammerstein, did not spend his entire life writing musicals. He only wrote 3 musicals. The one after this one was about Molly Brown, the unsinkable Molly Brown from the story of the Titanic. But he was equally famous as a composer and composer of film scores, a composer in general. So that's why some of the musical decisions in this particular show are a lot stronger to me. Unfortunately, he never won an Oscar for his movies, which I think is a tragedy because he scored one of the more important early talking films, which was Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator.
Oh, man.
Yeah, which, if you've never seen the final speech from The Great Dictator, I cannot recommend highly enough going to listen to that. Like, seriously, pause the podcast, go to YouTube, look up Charlie Chaplin, The Great Dictator speech, listen to it. It's soaring. It's amazing, especially in these days of political darkness that we're in.
I do wonder, have we come full circle and with the Great Dictator speech, be just as relevant today as it was then? It is.
I don't think that the Great Dictator speech has ever stopped being relevant. Mm-hmm. You can say what you want to about Charlie Chaplin. The man was very problematic. But he was a great fighter of fascism, which I'm a big fan of. And what he had to say in that speech was really, 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 really important.
I'm very surprised to learn that you, a trans woman, would not be a fan of fascism.
What, a trans leftist? Yeah, who'd have thought?
Oh my gosh. Okay,
so we'll go straight into it now. Again, so we've got Shirley Jones, who we also saw in Oklahoma and Carousel. She looks great in this one. Fun fact about her, throughout this entire production, she was pregnant with her first child, Patrick Cassidy.
Oh my lord.
Yep, so the whole thing pregnant. There's one scene where she and her romantic lead, whose name will not stick in my head, embrace on a footbridge, and the baby kicked when they did.
Oh my god.
And so years later, when Shirley introduced Patrick to Robert said, actually, we've met before. And in fact, you kicked me in the crotch.
Hilarious.
So the film opens up. I actually really thought the 1962 opening was really cute because they back to, friend of the pod, the overture. The overture is played over this really, really clippy short claymation thing with all these little tin soldiers marching, and it's really cute. Mostly the theme is to 76 trombones, which is a song.
As far as musicals are concerned, it's a banger.
Oh, yeah.
It's a banger. Man. It will get stuck in your head for days.
So we start with one of the... they start out with a bang, with real innovation as far as the musical goes. They open onto a train where a whole bunch of traveling salesmen are all on this train, sitting there arguing about how times are changing in the sales industry with the development of the Sears catalog. This is set in River City, Iowa in the year 1912. I want to say.
Oh, yeah? Is it pretty contemporary with Oklahoma?
Yeah. It's a little later.
A little later, yeah.
But a little bit later. But honestly, it's pretty contemporary with Oklahoma and Carousel.
I feel like Carousel was a little more recent, no?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. At least the original play. Oh, honey, I just want to make you feel a little bit better. He lost The Great Dictator to The Wizard of Oz.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I got quiet for a little bit because I got really curious about what beat him, and it was definitely The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, I mean, okay, fair.
Yeah. So
that was kind of a groundbreaker there.
Yeah.
You know, the very first color movie.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't it?
I
think it was.
I don't know.
So they open up on a train with all these traveling salesmen talking shit about a guy named Harold Hill and talking about how the industry.
They don't start with Harold Hill.
Okay, I know, and talking about how the industry is.
But you got to know the territory.
You got to know the territory, and that's the name of the song. Is you got to know the territory.
Oh no shit. Okay.
But the cool thing about this song is they start out and the train's not moving. as the train starts moving, you get the and the tempo and the beat of the song goes along with the train, and it's really, really cool.
And the way that they're speaking, like the vowels and the word choice, like make it sound like they're the train, like talking.
Cash for the end good, cash for the dry good, trash for the soft goods. Yeah. And they're mimicking the train noises, and I know that sounds corny.
It actually kind of works.
It really works, and it's a really, really cool. Like it's a cool mechanic, and that's
it's the first thing you see too. So it you're like, oh wow, this is actually musically interesting.
Yeah, and those choices continue throughout the musical.
I'm so sorry.
They really make some really, really cool choices as far as like innovation in the medium.
Yeah, the first number really reminds me of like Gilbert and Sullivan's Modern Major General. Like, with the way they play with rhythm and words and everything like that. It also reminds me of The End of the World by R.E.M.
Yeah, Meredith Wilson.
Hey, Winthrop.
We'll get there.
We haven't gotten there yet. Right.
Spoilers.
Winthrop.
Meredith Wilson is very, really, really a big fan of slamming a lot of words into his songs. They're very, very wordy.
Yeah. And there are times when I'm like, thank God. Like, I think we watched with subtitles, did we?
Yes,
we've been watching with subtitles,
we always
which
watch
helps.
With subtitles. You know, a little bit of behind the scenes action here. I am pretty deaf, so
a drummer?
Yeah,
and sound
a
tech?
drummer, live sound tech, and construction worker. Yes, I am a little bit deaf, so I always like to have the subtitles on. But anyway,
so we've had
it's
two.
really...
We need one more realization so we can make the joke 3 times.
But anyway, yeah, it's good to have the subtitles on because there's a lot of verbiage on this, and you want to have your finger over the pause button if you're a curious person like me, because they mention a lot of things that are specific to the time. For instance, they talk about how the "You Need a Cracker" ruined the Cracker Barrel, and that's a reference to, fun fact, that is a reference to the first individually wrapped biscuit cracker.
Oh, I was wondering what they were talking about.
By the National Biscuit Company.
Nabisco!
Which is now Nabisco, who sucks because they don't respect workers' rights. Again, leftist.
That's a bummer. I was kind of confused because they kept talking about the Cracker Barrel, and I was like the restaurant? I admittedly did not. There was a bit of a blind spot there. I didn't know about that.
And then they go through and they talk about all the different types of barrels.
And they talk about, like, credit versus cash.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh my god, there's the one dude, too. They set him up, the anvil salesman or whatever.
Yeah. There's one guy who's...
Charlie?
Like, any of you guys ever heard of a guy named Harold Hill? And everyone's like, I've heard of Harold Hill.
Who's Harold Hill?
Who tells about him?
Rattle.
And then they all, like, he goes in talking about how Harold Hill's got this, like, he's a band man. He's a music man.
But he doesn't know the territory. Yeah.
And he sells with the rat-a-tat drums and the toodle-toot flutes, and so they basically lay down Hill's scam, which is that he goes into a town, sells the town on starting a band, has them buy instruments, buy uniforms, and then the day the uniforms come in, after he's collected the money, he splits.
Yeah. And then the next salesperson that comes in gets tarred and
feathered. Tar and feathering is talked about a lot in this, and that was a process through which they would actually melt down tar and get a bunch of chickens and cover people in hot tar and feathers, which is extremely painful and it is a form of torture.
I feel like, why the feathers?
So they look like a chicken.
Yeah, but the tar is already bad enough. I mean, like, if I've got, like, third-degree burns...
It is literally, that is one of the places where insult to injury came from.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Yes,
I'm sitting over here going, that's so impractical. You gotta pluck all your chickens. Like, I feel like the tar is painful enough. I don't think I would be like, I can handle the tar, but the feathers, nah.
Yeah, it's literally adding insult to injuries. That's where that phrase comes from.
Oh, well, good to know.
So, after this whole number goes...
I did make one note I wanted to add. Having worked sales adjacent and been in sales teams and stuff like that in sales meetings, this whole first scene where all the salesmen are like, rattle, totally sounds like a sales meeting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, that just totally reminds me of that. And then
So, the train rolls up. They get to Iowa.
Yeah, and then this one dude is just like, "Oh, that's really interesting."
No, so you don't think he'll like anybody could really work in Iowa? It's a hard place to work.
No.
Now you've got my interest. It's like I didn't catch your name, and he's like, I didn't throw it.
And he grabs a
suitcase and it says Professor Harold Hill, and he dips out of the train.
Yeah, and they're like, "Fuck, catch that swindler!
Get the guy!"
Oh, it was very shady.
He's a 2-bit thimble twister or something like that.
Thimble rigger?
Thimble rigger.
What the fuck does that mean?
It's a thimble game. It's a shell game.
Rigging a game.
Shell game.
I was so confused. I was like, is this a slur?
Yeah, it's referring to like a shell game.
Okay.
You can do the same thing with a pea and a thimble.
Oh, okay. Cool. Makes sense. Do we want to talk about each version individually?
Right. So let's do let's do this. So that's the 1962 version. The 2003 version.
It's pretty much the same setup.
It's similar. They, instead of opening up with the cool little claymation thing, though, they just open up onto a pastoral scene.
Oh yeah, I forgot that because I wrote cute intro and I forgot that they had the little marching band guys walking around making the words and stuff. Yeah, like what was the intro? I thought it was cute.
Yeah, the 2003 one, it just opens up on a pastoral scene. I think they executed the railroad song or You Gotta Know the Territory a little bit better in the modern one, because I just feel they had their finger on the button a little bit more. The side characters are all what?
The way it's shot too.
Yeah.
Because the 62 version, it's like they're shooting the full cart. You see the full cart the entire scene.
Yeah.
Like almost like you are watching a stage musical.
It does look a little more.
And then the 2003 version feels like you're watching a TV show.
Yeah.
I don't want to say a movie because it very much the whole thing feels like a TV show to me. The way it's shot and the production.
The other nice thing about so
they keep cutting to Harold Hill's, like the bottom of his face.
The other nice thing about the 2003 version is that it has black people in it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
there is more diversity.
It is definitely more diverse, and I really like that about it. Makes it feel more full. But that's just me because I hate seeing nothing but white people. Weird
because that's not reality. And it takes you out of it. It's a suspension of disbelief that I don't think,
Oh, and so, like, for the most part, it goes just as well. We're introduced to Matthew Broderick as Harold Hill, and it's fine.
He's okay.
Yeah.
The first scene, you're like, oh, this might be good. Because the first scene, I would say that the singing performance in the 2003 version is a little more interesting. I do kind of like the way the 62 version is set up where you see I actually enjoy the scenes where they show you the whole big scene. Because I think that, and this happens a lot in both musicals, so just kind of get out of the way. Like, I like it when they do these big shots where they put together this huge scene and you can see it in full, because I think that's what's impressive about musicals. Right. When you get the full cast and you're doing everything together. But then, because the 2003 version feels like a TV version, they keep doing cuts where it's like there's two people in a shot or one person in a shot, and you're hearing all these singers. So there's more than just those two people that are supposed to be there. But why are you only showing me Harold Hill's chin from the face down when we have singers singing and I can't see them singing? Because it's like they're trying to shoot. It feels like they're trying to shoot a TV show as opposed to a musical.
Yeah, I suppose.
Arguably, I would say that the 2003 version is performed better and arranged better. In that number, anyways.
Yeah, I do like the 2003 version better than that. So afterwards, we exit the train into River City, Iowa, and in the 2003 version, they make a really great joke that I like. Matthew Broderick walks up to a guy taking care of a horse. He's like, "That's a fine animal," and guy looks at him, is like, "Well, for a horse, yeah." And I found that hilarious.
Yeah,
I don't know
it just kind of shuts him down.
Yeah, for a horse, I suppose.
This is very much Iowa the musical too.
Very much so.
Yeah, like Guys and Dolls was New York the musical, and Carousel was Maine the musical. This is Iowa the musical.
Yeah, the very first place, the very next song is called Iowa Stubborn.
Yeah.
Which is about how Iowa people are stubborn. And he walks into the town and people basically tell him to fuck off.
In the weirdest ways. They're basically you have to be contrary. You gotta be nice but maybe mean. It's like that one song, gotta be bad, you gotta be bold. I don't know, they're just there's so many different... It's basically they say that Iowans are just contrary for the sake of being contrary. Is the end of the song. The conclusion, the thesis statement. They're just gonna be contrary to be contrary.
Yep. And it's a fine number. There's a really cute thing where they stage American Gothic, which is the
and they do it in both versions.
Yeah, they do that in both versions. They do it better in the 62 version. I think.
Because they actually end up in a frame, and it's like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and the people who they get look exactly
like it.
I
don't know. Do I enjoy the 62 version better for this, or the 2003 version better for this? What do you think about this number?
I thought this number was better in the 2003 number. And the 2003 version, as far as the music goes, as far as the staging goes, I liked the 62 version better.
I think at this point, I was still like, I don't know which one I like better when I was watching the 2003 version, so I was still kind of up in the air about it. Oh, we get Chekhov's pool table. I don't know if they're delivering the pool table in the 2003 version, but in the 62 version, they're delivering the pool table.
I thought they were playing with it.
No, they were delivering it. Because I wrote Chekhov's pool table in the 62 version. So they're actually moving it into the pool hall in the 62 version, which I thought was nice. Like, they're going ahead and setting up, and yeah.
Okay, so real quick, before we go into the next number, we need to establish something. There is, in fact, a difference between pool and billiards.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the very next number, which is called Trouble, is all about the differences between pool and billiards. Billiards is a game with no pockets where you have to... It looks a lot like pool, but there's no numbers on the balls. The balls are red and yellow. And the object is to hit your ball after hitting 3 different rails on the table. It's a very difficult game. Pool, which became more popular in the very, very early 1900s, right around this time, supplanted billiards because there wasn't as much of a heavy learning curve.
The common man could, in fact, play it.
The common man could play it, and so...
It was like checkers versus chess.
Sort of. So Hale goes in, and he meets his old friend at the livery stables. His old friend... and
this is the 62 version.
Marcellus.
Yeah.
He meets his old friend at the livery stables. His friend is played by Buddy Hackett, who is, the fat man to Preston's tall, skinny man. And Preston's like, all right, so, it's good to see you. What are you doing here? He calls him Greg, which is his real name, even though he's going by Harold Hill now. And so they establish their friendship.
Oh, I do want to point out a thing. In the 2003 version, they set this up differently.
Yeah, in the 2003 version, he works at a hotel.
Which... From a story, it makes a tighter story. I will say, I think that was a smart choice in their interpretation of it, was to have Marcellus, instead of being the livery stables guy, like, be the guy that's at the hotel. Then it makes a little more sense. And it makes more sense for another number they do later, too. Like the location they do it in.
What number?
Sadder, Wiser Woman.
Oh, yeah.
So that I think sets them up for some success. I do think that was a smart choice in the 2003 version. And the guy who plays Marcellus, whose name I don't know, is a much better singer than Buddy Hackett.
Yes.
But lacks some charisma, I think.
Yeah, Hackett has great charisma, but not a great singing voice.
Yeah.
That being said, so we're launching into one of my favorite ones. So the whole thing that they're talking about is he needs to find a moral panic within the city. And if he can't find one, he'll generate one. So what he decides to do is to say that the new pool table that they had just moved in to the billiard parlor will be the downfall and ruination of all of the morality of the youth of the town. Do you want to talk about a little bit about Trouble? What you thought about it?
Well, I was honestly very confused at first because I didn't know what the fuck they were talking about with pool and billiards. I was just like, so why is the pool table, like, is the fact that it exists the problem? Or, like, once Austin explained to me that they were 2 different games, I was like, oh, the light came on. I thought it's a good song. It is a very good song. It's very snappy. I think it's actually, for a musical number, very realistic because having, again, been in sales positions or sales adjacent positions, one of the things that you're told in sales is that you're trying to identify someone's problem and solve it. Anytime someone is trying to sell you something, they're always asking you questions, trying to find their end. So the whole musical number, the conceit of it is that he's got to create trouble because there isn't any. And sometimes people will do that. It'll be like manufactured a problem that isn't a real problem. And that's basically the whole conceit of the song. I think that from a musical standpoint, the pacing is really interesting. The rhythms are interesting. I think that the singing is good in both versions.
You've got trouble. And that starts with T, and that rhymes with P, and that stands for pool. That stands for pool.
So that's the call. He's big into the call and response.
Yeah.
Because call and response comes up multiple times. Yeah. I will say though, Robert.
I thought Robert Preston. Robert fucking Preston.
Robert.
Esquire.
His name is Robert fucking
His
Preston.
name is Robert Preston. His name is Robert Preston. He reminded me of like Pat Roberts.
Oh, he was
so
like
Robert
fucking
Tilton.
good.
Like
He was really good.
Yeah, he reminded me of a televangelist creating this moral panic.
Yeah.
Your children will be making jokes from Captain Billy Whizbang.
Yeah. The thing where he was like, "Oh, do they unbuckle their socks or whatever?"
When they leave the house, do they buckle their knickerbockers below their knee?
He was really good. And Matthew Broderick was not.
Mm-mm.
No, he cannot hold a candle to Preston on this line.
Yeah, Broderick didn't have the dynamics or the charisma really to do this. The thing about Broderick in this role is he just doesn't have that riz.
He doesn't.
We watched a couple scenes from Hugh Jackman doing this in 2022, and he knocked it out of the fucking park.
Yeah, I just think that honestly, the 1962 version nailed the casting. Obviously, Robert Preston originated the role on Broadway, correct?
And won a Tony for it.
Yeah, so I mean, they kept the actor from the Broadway production. Thank fucking God they didn't make any changes there. And he was really good. And I just don't think it... Honestly, the 2003 version, like, you could just sum it up. Matthew Broderick is not good casting in this role. And it becomes... I'm like, watching the 2003 version, okay, I'm interested. This seems like it's going to be a cool take. And then as soon as Trouble hit, I was like, this isn't going to be as good.
So...
We were in trouble with a capital T.
Originally, they were trying to find somebody for the 1962 version that had a little bit more star power. And they approached Cary Grant.
Wow. Yeah, you told me that.
For it. And Grant said, not only will I not do this, but if you don't cast Robert Preston, I'm not even going to watch it.
Yeah. And they did right. He was absolutely perfect in this
He blew it out of the water. It was amazing.
Yeah. The Trouble number is really good. And also, too, there's, like, kind of some foreshadowing, because I did notice, like, in the choral, some of the choral arrangement, there felt like there was some barbershop-type harmonies. And I pointed that out. I was like, oh, how interesting. There's, like, a barbershop harmony here or there in this arrangement.
We'll get there.
But I think, too, Meredith Willson's really good at foreshadowing things, like, from a musical standpoint.
Oh, man.
Which really, like, my musician brain is like, oh, this is interesting.
It's just such a well-done musical in general.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I have
this song consists of Harold convincing people that pool is worse than billiards and will lead to the downfall of society. It's all about paths. I said it reminded me of Kenneth Copeland. He even looks a little bit like Kenneth Copeland.
Oh, my note for this song is Trouble. Holy shit, what an impressive song. It's so hard to hit those rhythms and it's all crisp and there's no question, and he's very confident, and it's just very good.
Again, with the Meredith Willson rapid fire pattern, all the things talk like this, it talks like real quick, fast, yeah,
he does a lot of work. He does a lot of like he's really clever in how he writes lyrics. Actually, I don't know if he wrote the lyrics, but in how he writes.
He did. He wrote the book, music, and lyrics, but he did have assistance from a couple other people during it.
Okay.
It took him 3 years to write it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
4 years. It took him a long time to write this musical, and he wrote 40 different songs for it.
I do want to point out one thing. So I think I don't know if it's prior to the scene, I believe, that there is a scene with the librarian, or is it after?
After.
It's okay, so I'm jumping ahead then. I'm sorry. I think I wrote it backwards then.
Yeah, because he tells Hackett to do the little piano motion. To
keep an eye out for the librarian.
Yeah, play the piano. Like
the scene before in the library.
You told me about this before. I don't remember this scene.
Oh, okay. So this was cool. Before the musical number Trouble, they set up the librarian in the 1962 version. So
they do?
Yes. So there is a scene where the mayor's wife. Oh, okay. The mayor's wife, Eulalie. I
have it written down.
Oh my god, the best name fucking ever. I love this name. Her name is Eulalie McKechnie Shin. Eulalie McKechnie Shin. I actually remember her fucking name. That's how interesting it is. So she like huffs, I think it's after Iowa Stubborn, that she like huffs off and she goes to the library to give the librarian a piece of her mind because her daughter is reading dirty books.
Oh yeah.
So,
she's reading, what is she reading? She's reading something like classical.
I don't know.
It's not Chaucer. It's
not Balda.
I have this written down. Damn it.
But the one thing that I thought was great about it was that we're less than 10 minutes into this musical and it already passes the Bechdel test. It's a conversation between two... Yeah.
It's the Rubaiyat.
Yes, it's a conversation between two women about a character that isn't a man, and we're 10 minutes in. And it's the first musical we've gotten that unquestionably passes the Bechdel test and does it in 10 minutes.
Yeah. So, I have down here, Mrs. Shin is a cunt, and the Rubaiyat is not smutty.
Oh, you know what? She really grows on me by the end of this fucking thing.
There are some fantastic names. And the two things that this musical has in spades are amazing names and amazing hats.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's a pretty amazing hats. I will say, though, this scene is not in the 2003 version.
No, it's not.
And I think it's lacking, because I think the scene is good because it sets those characters up and explains their dynamic. Because later in the 2003 version, you don't understand why the librarian isn't just friends with all the picky little women.
Right.
But you see in the 62 version that clearly, okay, there's some friction there before he ever gets involved.
So he follows...
Trouble happens and ends.
Yes, he follows Marion.
Buddy Hackett's like, hey, the librarian lady.
Yeah.
Does a piano motion.
Marion the Librarian.
Who something? Her last name? Peru.
Yeah, spelled wrong.
Yes. Is that the Irish way to spell it?
I don't know. But anyway, he follows Marion down the street, tries to get her to talk to him, and Marion ignores her because we're supposed to think Marion is frigid. So they go home. She goes home, and we get to meet...
Oh my god, I will say, though, the scene where she, shuts him down so effectively is great. In both musicals.
In both musicals. Versions. Yeah, we get to meet Kristen Chenoweth as Marion, which So here's the deal. They're both great in different ways.
Yeah.
Shirley Jones is amazing. She's one of the most iconic musical theater actresses of all time. That being said, in this, and it could have been because she was pregnant, there were notes and pitches that she could not hit, so they changed them for the 1962 version. She was not in the original cast, so for the 2003 version, they brought in Kristen Chenoweth.
And she can hit all those notes.
And Kristen Chenoweth can hit those notes and more. She is a stellar singer. If you don't know her, she originated the role of Galinda in Wicked. She was also on Glee. She's a spunky 5'1" blonde girl from Oklahoma.
I will say that, I like Kristen Chenoweth. Do not get me wrong. But she has this, really tiny speaking voice. And, I do prefer Shirley Jones' speaking voice in this role.
Yeah.
Because Shirley Jones is very, authoritative sounding. I don't know. Maybe it's just me typecasting in my head that I feel like the librarian person needs to sound less spunky. I don't know. I don't think Kristen Chenoweth is bad by any stretch. If I had never seen Shirley Jones' performance, I would be like, oh, she's great. Kristen Chenoweth is by far and away the best thing about the 2003 version.
Yeah.
Except for there's one scene with Kristen Chenoweth where I was just like, what the fuck? It was the scene that we're actually coming into. Pick an eye. You remember when she kept looking back and forth?
Oh,
one person, she's in a close-up shot with Amaryllis, who's her little piano student. We're getting here. So she goes home. We're here. So she gets home after so effectively shutting down the Music Man. Nope. He's like, did you drop this? Nope. I'm gonna be in town. Nope. Have a good one. Bye. Fuck off. They both do it really well. And then we go into the scene, and it happens in both shows. So
Marion is both a piano teacher and the librarian.
Yes.
So she is the music teacher, which is why she is the possible stumbling block for Harold Hill, who does not know how to play music.
He doesn't know how to read music either. He's a good singer. I think even outside of the suspension of disbelief, of because musical numbers aren't, I don't know.
Musical numbers aren't real, baby.
Yes. I'm trying to say that outside of the suspension of disbelief of musical numbers aren't real, he establishes that he has an understanding of singing as a character. If you pulled every single musical number, it's still... Oh,
that's true because of the quartet.
Yeah, it's still evident that he does understand music. He's just an ear musician who doesn't know how to play fucking band instruments and doesn't know how to read music. So, but yeah, in this scene, she's teaching, her mom is there.
Yeah, and Amaryllis is running through piano exercises.
Yeah.
And so it's like...
And she keeps playing one note.
She's playing and they correct it, but she's playing scales. And then, as she's playing this, they just kind of drift into a song, and like by song, it's just her arguing with her mother. And the thing is that it doesn't rhyme, nothing like that. It's just them arguing to the rhythm and melody of her doing this piano exercise. And once again,
cool scene.
It's super creative.
Yeah, it's really clever. I don't know which version I like better for this scene. I might like the Shirley Jones version better.
I think I like the Shirley Jones version a little bit better.
I also love the mom in the 62 version.
Yeah. So
good.
The mom in the 62 version was played by Pert Kelton.
Oh my gosh, side note before I forget. The piano exercise that you were singing a second ago, I'm pretty confident is from Hamilton.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, you were singing the Hamilton piano exercise. So, there you go. Yes, I've seen Hamilton.
Yeah, so was done by... Great. She plays... So, by Pert Kelton, she plays an Irish woman, older, larger, but...
She's more rotund.
Yeah.
Is that a good term? Curvy?
I don't know. Whatever. So, they're arguing with each other, and it's really great, and she's like... What was the... How did she end up using the word Balzac?
Oh my god, yeah. Like,
oh yeah,
you won't find it in Balzac.
No, it's just like, men only want one thing. She's like, oh really, and what's that? You'll find it in Balzac.
Yeah, it was really, yeah.
So the argument is all about how she can't find a man. Like, her mom is worried that she's going to end up an old maid, and of course, she don't need no man. Interestingly though, because of the conversation about the smutty book that Marion has with Marion, this movie has passed the Bechdel test within the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Oh yeah, I did say that earlier.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Well, then I'll cut it down.
Oh, okay. Did you write it down there?
I did.
Oh, okay, yeah. I jumped the gun on that one. Because this conversation is about a non-existent man.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and Mama's like, oh, who was that? Because she like notices the guy, the fucking stalker salesman, and is just like, oh, you might. Why didn't you give it a try? And she's just like, I have fucking standards. And the mom's like, you're envisioning this man who's like a combination of not Babe Ruth, fucking.
I don't remember.
Oh, there was like 3 different literary figures, and Mom says that like you're imagining this man is a combination of all these things. And actually, I don't know if it's this scene or if it's later.
The White Knight.
I think it is later, so I'll cover it later. Yes, it is later. So there's another later song where she talks about what she's looking for in a man. But in this song, she's just shutting Mom down entirely. And Amaryllis is like obsessed with Winthrop, the little brother. And it happens in different places in both movies. But it's in this area of the production. That
song is called The Piano Lesson / If You Don't Mind Me Saying.
Yeah.
And then we transfer from her regular piano exercise to what she calls a crosshand piece, which takes us into a song called Good Night, My Someone.
Yeah.
Which is not... I don't like that song quite as much as I liked the rest of it.
It's a pretty song.
It's pretty. It's fine.
Oh,
but really... No, we'll get to it later.
Okay. It's relevant musically. It's foreshadowing.
This is actually musical foreshadowing.
Again, this is huge musical foreshadowing with this musical number.
Another thing, like when I first heard this song, I didn't care for it. Later on in the musical, I'm like, oh my god, what the hell? How did they do that?
How did he sneak this shit in? I liked how it was shot in the 62 version better than the 2003 version too. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I kind of thought, like, I have written down that, like, this just seems like knockoff Mary Poppins. But I found it, like, and when I said that, I kind of thought for a minute, and I looked at it, and the this musical was written in the 50s and early 60s, and so was Oklahoma, and so was Carousel. And I found it interesting about the musical nostalgia cycle.
Okay.
Because this was written in the 50s, and it's about the aughts to the tens.
Oh,
And all three of those musicals are the exact same way.
Oh, wild.
They're all musicals written in the 50s about the 1910s.
Kind of like how right now we're getting a Tammy Faye Baker musical.
Yeah, we're getting nostalgic, like fashion-wise, we're getting nostalgic for the 2000s.
Yeah.
Like the early 2000s Y2K. And musically, we're talking about Tammy Faye Baker, which would have been about 30 years ago?
Yeah, like late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, 30, 40 years ago. And it's about the same split.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Fascinating, right?
Yeah. I didn't think about these being nostalgic at the time.
Absolutely nostalgic.
Yeah, I think that context actually really helps why there were so many musicals like this in the 50s.
Yeah.
And it's not part of our nostalgia cycle, so it's kind of, it feels like, okay, well, why this? But yeah.
So, after this, we're introduced to another major character in this musical, which is fun, which is Winthrop. Marion's little brother with a lisp. And in the 1962 version, it is played by none other than little Ronnie Howard.
Yeah, because apparently there's one ginger in Hollywood, that's it.
Future Academy Award winning director Ron Howard.
And father of Bryce Dallas Howard.
Indeed.
Yes, lots of Howards.
Yeah, so...
and he's got a terrible...
He has a terrible singing
terrible.
voice.
It's not bad.
He's not even that good of an actor.
His lisp is so bad. And he's a child actor, but he's like, lisp! It's like, okay, like, it's not what a lisp actually sounds like. It's,
No, he wasn't great. But it was, like, I didn't recognize him. You're the one who pulled that out.
Yeah.
But, of course, this was... he got cast for this directly after the first season of the Andy Griffith Show.
Oh, that makes sense. Trying to put a name in there.
Yeah, and he barely had enough time to finish it. His dad convinced him to do it, but he was originally really reticent to do it because, and this is kind of sad, he wanted to go to normal school and have a normal life for a little while.
Oh, man.
But eventually he's like, all right, you're right. I should be doing this in order to advance my career at 7.
Shit.
Which I find sad. I find it sad that a kid has to be a little adult that young. But obviously it worked out for him. He became one of the most legendary directors of all time. Yeah. If it weren't for Ron Howard making those decisions when he did, then we might not have gotten... Apollo 13.
Or, his involvement in one of the most important pieces of media ever. Arrested Development.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Happy Days.
No, I was Arrested Development. Sorry. Different TV show. Oh, but the little girl, piano girl, Amaryllis, Winthrop won't say her name because it has S's in it, and she giggles when Mama makes him say her name. She invites him to a party, and he shoots her down.
Yeah.
No, thank you, Amaryllis. Like how Ron Howard says it. The other kid in the 2003 version is missing his 2 front teeth, so it sounds like an actual natural. They went and found a kid who's actually dealing with a lisp because of dental problems, or just the normal cycle of getting new teeth, and it's a lot more believable and doesn't take me out of it quite so much. I will say that is the one time when the casting was better in 2003.
I didn't know he directed Solo, a Star Wars story.
Ron Howard did?
Ron Howard did.
I'll be damned. That was a good movie.
Sorry, I'm going through. He directed Frost Nixon, which I believe won an Oscar. Mm-hmm. Angels and Demons, The Da Vinci Code, Cinderella Man, A Beautiful Mind, Apollo 13.
Wait, he was involved with Arrested Development, right?
Mm-hmm. He was a producer.
Because I remember his voiceovers.
Cocoon.
Kind of make the show for me, honestly.
Yeah. Anyway, good stuff. Little Ronnie Howard comes in. He has a terrible lisp. This show gives me mad Bioshock Infinite vibes.
Yeah, we get a Bioshock Infinite interlude afterwards. Like, they literally are doing a number about Columbia or whatever. And I was like, what?
And you see, here we go, Eulalie McKechnie Shin dressed as Lady Liberty, and Mayor Shin. So she is the mayor's wife. The mayor's up there. He keeps throughout this entire musical. He keeps trying to deliver the Gettysburg Address, and
oh my god, it's so funny. He never
let him get past Fourth Court 7 years ago.
Yeah, they're like doing a production or something for a holiday.
It's 4th of July.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, the whole thing takes place during the run-up to 4th of July.
Okay, yeah, cool.
And the reason they're doing this a week before 4th of July is because supposedly that's when Lincoln delivered the Gettysburg Address, but I don't think that's actually true. The other really funny thing is Ethel Toddlemeyer's sister is
who Marcellus tries to hook Professor Hill up with.
Yes.
Yeah.
The funniest thing about her is that her entire purpose in this musical is she is a piano player, which means she sits there and air pianos while the player piano is playing.
Yeah, and she's in charge of swapping out the tracks and stuff like that. She's like a DJ.
No, but she's sitting there air pianoing while it's playing.
She's like a 1910s version of a DJ where
sure.
like they put the record on and then they're just sitting there waiting to change the record coolly, you know, like at least she's doing a lot because she's pretending to play.
And so we're enjoying. So like we're like, this is great.
Yeah.
This is great. This is not problematic at all.
Yeah,
Everything's
maybe
doing
we're gonna
great.
get through a not problematic musical. We passed the
And
Bechdel test.
And then the mayor comes up on stage. It's like, and now the local society of Hiawatha will do a number led by my wife,
Lily McKechnie Shin. Yeah.
And they come out dressed in full brown face as native people, and
I will say,
oh god! And then
okay, we're talking about brown face. In neither production did they paint their skin a different color.
Did they not?
No, they just wore the costumes, which is not obviously not any better, but it's not like they have like
they come out.
They're not face painted at least, but yeah, they definitely
come out war bonnets.
Like,
and then Tommy, what the hell is his last name?
Okay, I will say, it's annoying that it's in the musical. But in the musical itself, within the context of the story, it's obvious that is something that the audience finds annoying.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it's not great because it's bad representation of like Native American people, but it's almost like that's the point. That like, yes, this is what they think good representation is, or that this is appropriate, or this is art. And then immediately Tommy comes.
Tommy Giles.
Tommy firecrackers her.
Tommy shoves a firecracker underneath her and throws her off. And this introduces us to Tommy Giles, who is like the bad boy, you know.
And thank God he cuts that song short.
Yeah, and so everything turns to kind of chaos.
Oh, and then I don't know when it happens, but at some point the mayor says Pompey, which I just thought was fucking hilarious.
Pompey.
There are definitely a few points in the movie where I actually laughed out loud.
Yeah. The Mayor Shin is great because he's just completely incompetent and keeps mispronouncing. What's your phraseology?
I need a t-shirt that says that.
And he's almost like a Looney Tunes character. Honestly,
he and Harold Hill are like Looney Tunes characters.
Well, Buddy Hackett is the basis for a Looney Tunes character. He's the cat who's like, I ate the whole thing. That was based on Buddy Hackett. In fact, it might be voiced by him.
I didn't know that. And then it breaks into this thing. Oh,
so it's 76 Trombones.
Well, we don't get there yet because there's this interaction with the school board. Remember, there's the 4 guys who are on the school board. And he gets handed a note in both versions, and the mayor is like, "We will have a tableau by the school board," and then it's like, "No," and it's like,
we will not.
We will not have." He misreads the note. We will not have a tableau from the school board because there's an argument about costumes or something, and they start arguing with each other. And I made the note that it sounds like a modern school board meeting. This movie kind of like gave me a little bit of stress initially because we have the book situation where the librarian's getting harassed, but the books kids are reading, and then now the school board's arguing.
And now people start arguing about the pool table again.
Yeah, someone in the crowd starts, "What about the pool table?"
It's Hill.
Yeah, obviously. But Hill's in the crowd going, "But tell us about the pool table." And then rattle.
And then Hill rips off his jacket, turns it inside out, and pulls a lever on his top hat, and it turns into a band leader instrument. And he's like, "I have the solution to your problem," and he breaks into 76 trombones, which is
The big song.
the big song. It is the song from the musical, which I really wanted to lead in the thing with. So like I'm a drummer, and I was fucking around on my practice pad, and I taught Elle a little bit about how to actually play a drum, but I just wanted to start it off like. But so it's this big marching number, and he's having them imagine 76 trombones led the big parade with 110 cornets right behind. And so he does this whole thing. He ends up leading the children around the thing, and everybody's...
Like the Pied Piper.
It's literally, and the Pied Piper is brought up several times.
Yeah,
in the show.
He literally is the Pied Piper without a piper.
So, and then we see, Tommy Gillis start to dance. And, Tommy Gillis is gay as Christmas.
I do want to say one thing. That the dancing is not good in the 62 version.
No.
Nowhere am I like, wow, this is great dancing. The choreography is weird.
You said that you liked the cinematography better in the 62 version. I didn't care for either one, honestly.
I don't really like either one, but at least the 62 version, the director knows to pan back and show me a full scene. Because, and I don't know if I said this already, but the impressive thing about musicals to me is that you get 40 people on a stage doing a dance number together. If you cut to one person dancing, I lose that, and it's not... I'm like, why would you do that? You know what I mean? Like, I want to see the spectacle of everyone in time dancing together. And at least in the 62 version, we get that consistently. Even if the dancing is weird and they're trying to emulate instruments and it's not working for me, at least they're composing these big scenes. They're not doing that in the 2003 version. It feels like a TV show. And it was for, The Wonderful World of Disney or something?
Something like that.
Yeah,
or something on
it
CBS.
was a made-for-TV musical, and it feels like a made-for-TV musical, the way they shoot these big dance numbers. But the dancing is arguably better in the 2000.
Inarguably.
Yeah, it is inarguably.
That's not arguably.
Yeah, inarguably better. In the 2003 version, the dancing is much better. Matthew Broderick is not the best dancer, but the dancing on the whole is better in the 2003 version.
So we get through 76 trombones, which again, it does lead into a big dance number. Big dance number in both of them. Broderick's is really cute, though.
Where he dances with the kids.
He's leading around all these little kids, and they go and they march throughout the entire school, and they do a lot of little fancy march things, and they're marching up and down the bridges.
It's like a dancing interlude that's really good.
And I was like, really cute.
And then Broderick starts singing again, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, and then I'm like, oh.
Damn, yeah.
Which is weird, because he can sing.
And he was so good in The Producers.
He won Tonys.
It's just bad casting. He's not made for this role.
Yeah, because he's won multiple times. I think he won for How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, too.
Oh, wait, isn't that... We talked about this. Who wrote that?
Fucking Radcliffe's done it, too.
Yeah, well, no, that number, How to Succeed in Business, that's related to one of the other musicals we watched already.
That's a musical.
Yeah, who wrote it?
The same guy that did Dogs and Dolls.
That's what it was, thank you. I was like, we've talked about this.
Afterwards, we end the number, and the townspeople are into it. Everybody's giving him earnest money, which is kind of like a deposit.
It happens differently in both musicals. Because in the 2003 version, he immediately starts taking money. In the 62 version, he doesn't. Because immediately we get the more casual racism, and I can't remember what it was about.
Right. So this is actually fascinating. There's a thing where, and there might be a specific name for it, but there's a point in time in every nationality's American experience where they at one point weren't considered white, and then they become white. You see it with the Irish, you see it with Italians, you see it with Jewish people, you see it with Germans. So the reason everyone hates Tommy Gillis is because Tommy Gillis's dad is a Lithuanian day worker.
That's the casual racism.
So it's casual racism against Lithuanians.
It's very wild.
Lithuanians. So fuck you, Dirk Nowitzki. You're out on the street, my friend.
Is he Lithuanian?
Yes.
Oh, I thought he was just German.
No, he's Lithuanian.
Oh, they did. Well,
I think he is.
I'm a bad Texan for not knowing that.
I'll double check that.
Yeah. Also, too, I do find it interesting that you bring up,
No, he is German.
Okay, thank you. I was like, wait.
No, it's the coach. It was their coach. That was Lithuanian.
Oh. 76 trombones. You know, the 76 trombones number, it just stresses me out because it's a lot of goddamn trombones.
No, I'm
oh, yeah.
sure.
Like, there's a lot of fucking, like, I actually have a year of band underneath my belt. I did a year of middle school band until I moved somewhere that didn't have a band program. And I played French horn, and I sat beside 2 trombone players, and that was enough. Like, I just feel like if you're going to have 76 trombones, how many fucking trumpets do you have to have? How many, like, French horns or marching horns do you have to be heard over 76 trombones? That's a lot of trombones. So it's a minor nitpick. Because it does sound like the rhythm 76. That sounds like a little rat-a-tat from a drum. But okay, so yeah, Tommy's casual racism. Also, he's like, I'm gonna fix Tommy. He's not a degenerate. Like, here, you're gonna help me build. There's no one's ever built a stand for a piccolo player, a music stand for piccolo player. And he's like, you're an engineer, like, mechanically inclined. Go in your basement and find wire and build me a music stand for a piccolo player. Okay, cool. And here's this random girl. Take her and go get some ice cream. And she's like,
Egads!
It's like, okay. And then this one dude's just like, and I don't know which character it is, and I should know. He's like, you're a pretty sharp guy, Hill, but you made, 2 mistakes. One, the pool table is the mayor's pool table that he invested in. Oops. And then number 2, the girl that he sent Tommy with is the mayor's oldest daughter. Zanita? Yeah. Zanita. So, egads! And, yeah. And then, I think at this point we begin the search because the school board wants his credentials.
Yes.
And so they start harassing him for his credentials. And he's listening to them talk. And then he kind of goes, wait, what did you just say? Say that again. Repeat your words. No. He does this thing where he, like, teaches them to speak slow enough that it sounds like singing. And he gets them to sing, and he tricks them into singing, and then he gets one of them to sing the bass note, and one of them
then he's like, then you don't have to sing, just talk. But talk slower, talk down here.
And he's like, wait, I'm singing. And then he gets all 4 of them to do it, and tunes a barbershop quartet, and then winds them up and lets them go.
And then for the rest of the entire show, you never see these 4 people apart from each other.
He's like, you'll never see those 4 men apart again. And it's like, yeah, barbershop is a cult. And I love that even in 1962, they knew that barbershop was a cult.
The interesting thing here is, so that in the 1962 version, the barbershop quartet, or the school board, was played by a group called... So, the funny thing is, in the 1962 version, the quartet was played by a group called the Buffalo Bills, which were, in fact, they were a barbershop quartet before they ever did the play. And they did the play, like they were in the original cast for the play, The Music Man, and were brought into the movie. They're called the Buffalo Bills, and they were the 1950 International Champion Medalist Quartet of the, and this is the longest acronym I've ever seen for a group. You ready?
Yeah.
The SPEBSQSA.
The
Society for the Preservation and Encouragement of Barbershop Quartet Singing in America.
I'll be damned.
So they were literally an
award.
award.
This predates Sweet Adelines, which I think is like the big organization. Yeah.
No, Sweet Adelines is the women's.
Oh, that's right. What's the men's?
Fuck.
Of course I would know the Sweet Adelines one. I'll look it up.
My cousin's in it.
Yeah, it's really... Oh.
They've tried to get me to do it. Drew has tried to get me to join barbershop multiple times.
It's because you're a bass.
Yeah.
And they're rare.
But they're great. They're fantastic.
They do Sincere is the first song they said?
Yes. There is no sin in Sincere.
Oh, it's so good. They're such a good fucking
the 62 barbershop quartet is miles better than
it's not even worth talking about the 2003 one.
No.
Like,
they're okay, fine. If I had seen them in a local production of The Music Man, I would have been impressed. The Buffalo Bills, though, blow this out of the water, and they don't need any tuning. They're perfect. They do this little thing where they just take the tenor's hand and navigate him up and then down.
That was my favorite part because the tenor. It's always the tenor that's struggling.
I don't think that he's struggling. I think they just have like a vibrato thing on there. They just got a pitch bend.
I will back this up. My voice part is soprano 1, and sopranos always struggle with pitch. They're always going sharp and flat. And you can hear a tenor. A tenor cuts through everything, right? So if a tenor is sharp or flat, you're going to fucking notice it. So for me, it was very much a musician's joke about that high note always being the one that you really have to make sure is in tune and like, don't go sharp or flat. And they're physically manipulating him. And I actually laughed out loud at that part.
I'm going to pause briefly. I have to pee. The joke that kept popping into my head about the Buffalo Bills was like, I'd fuck me. Oh, I'd fuck me hard.
Of course.
You gotta wonder if this Buffalo Bills existed before the football team.
Oh, I don't know.
Because
wasn't he like a Wild West guy too?
Buffalo Bills Wild West show.
So why are they called the Buffalo Bills, like Buffalo, New York?
I believe they're from Buffalo, New York.
The Wild West show is.
No, the Barbershop Quartet.
Yeah, no, but I imagine the Buffalo...
But his name was Bill.
Yeah, I imagine like Buffalo Bill probably predated all of that,
yes,
right? Because
he shot buffaloes.
Yeah, so why is the Buffalo, New York Bills called the Buffalo Bills? They're in New York.
Probably because of Buffalo Bill.
Is he from New York?
No.
Yeah.
They're from Buffalo. The Buffalo Bills are from Buffalo, so they named themselves Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
After Buffalo Bill's Wild West show.
Oh, that'd be why they're the... Okay. Yeah, okay, I'm understanding. But there aren't any buffalo in New York. And buffalo don't have wings. Yeah.
They don't have wings in the thing, either.
No, it's chicken wings. Buffalo wings.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, God. More great hats. Oh, right. So we're going into...
Angry Shirley Jones. I think she shoots him down one more time. I think he tries again to talk to her. Because I love Angry Shirley Jones after Sincere.
Yeah, and it's funny. The Barbershop Quartet is kind of used as a little bit of a Greek chorus type of function, where they're really giving the inner monologue of the main character's time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's clever.
So then we move on to Harold Hill talking about Marion to all the little old ladies of the town. They call them the biddies.
Yeah, they are really interested in him and
yeah. And they all have these fantastic, amazing feathered hats.
Yeah.
And we see them just kind of wandering around, and they kept panning over to chickens. And then they pan over to the old ladies. They pan over to the chickens. And then they go into this musical number called Pick a Little, Talk a Little.
Will get stuck in your head for days.
And which will be stuck in your head for days, which is them gossiping. But it's also them just kind of wandering around with these feathered hats, and they look exactly like chickens. And the whole thing is they're supposed to sound like a group of chickens. Pick a little, talk a little, pick a little, talk a little, cheep, 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 little, talk a little more.
Yeah, it's a thing.
It's another just really, really creative
use of word painting.
Of word painting and another great musical mechanic.
Yeah,
that just really makes this musical.
And they're gossiping about. So he goes over there initially because they're asking. He gets Eulalie McKechnie-Shim to be the chair of the board of the dance or whatever.
Renaissance dance or whatever.
Yeah, whatever the fucking big dance is. In both versions.
In the 2003 version...
They're hat shopping.
Well, Mayor Shen's wife is played by Molly Shannon.
And she's trying her best.
And she's not as good.
No. Apparently, I think the woman who played original Eulalie her name is Hermione something.
Hermione Gold.
I was like, oh my god, to be named Hermione Gold and then play someone named Eulalie McKechnie. It's...
Yeah, and Hermione Gold, I believe, was the female lead in The Honeymooners, which was kind of it's in that vein of All in the Family or The Simpsons or
a
Family Guy.
Sitcom.
Yeah, where it's like the OG family sitcom with the somewhat angry dad.
Interesting.
And the put upon wife and to the moon, Gracie. And she was one of the great comedic actresses of her time. So this was also a big get for the movie version.
She's really talented.
And she is. Pick a little, talk a little. They go back into talking about how Marion is trying to get their daughters to read smut, and they're like, Chaucer, Balzac.
And, like, they talk about how she is the librarian because the man, Madison, old Miser Madison.
Yeah, Miser Madison.
Like, everything in the town is named after. He left the library to the town and left the books to her, and they're like, they think it's because she's a hussy and she hooks up with him. That she slept with him. And
later on, we find out that it's her
dad's
friend. Was her dead father's best friend.
Yeah, and that he wanted to make sure she had a job after her father passes.
Yeah.
Spoilers, we do find out that her dad is dead later.
Yes, which we kind of figured. We never see that.
But the scene in which it happens is a gut punch. Oh my god. The cat has exposed his belly. It is a trap.
We have full curled feetsies.
Do not. And the tail's a little
twitchy.
A little curious. Little question mark tail, but do not believe his lies. Oh no. She's being lulled in. Oh, he just rolled over and stretched more.
That's not getting cut out.
He's so cute. Okay. That happens.
And then the
I dare say it's a musical number.
The barbershop comes back in.
Oh yeah.
Because they stop him and they try and get his credentials again.
And he's
like, oh well, yeah, I'll just go over to the hotel and grab those for you. And all right, good night, ladies.
And he gets a pitch fight out.
Good night, ladies.
And then the barbershop
Good night. And then they jump into Good Night, Ladies.
On top of the Piccolo
On top of the Piccolo's musical counterpoint, and it's really, really, really well done.
I put that he reminds me... This is where Harold Hill started really reminding me of Bugs Bunny. The way that he continues to thwart the barbershop quartet at every turn.
Yeah. And just like, I love Wilson's use of musical counterpoint. And he is a master of it, of bringing two songs together, layering them on top of each other, and just making them sound amazing. So next we go into what I call the confirmed bachelor song, which is like a trope in these musicals, how, every woman has their song about how I don't need no man, and then a lot of the men also have a song about how I don't want a steady girl, I want myself a flaming whore.
Yeah. This one is the sadder, wiser woman?
Sadder but wiser girl.
Yeah. I will say this is one in which the device in the 2003 version of having Marcellus be the manager of the hotel works better, because the scene takes place in the hotel lobby where there's like a player piano.
No, it's an actual piano.
Or actual piano and a piano player, and the number works. In the 1962 version,
they're doing like soft shoe in the middle of the horse stables.
Yeah, they're doing tap and everything in a horse stable, and Amaryllis is there for some reason watching.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work. This number didn't work for me in the 1962 version. It works a little better in the 2003 version for me. But
yeah, the 2003 version of this is better. Also,
Matthew Broderick actually does a good job on this song.
The piano, he does. This is one of his best songs, and the piano player is fantastic.
Yeah, and also I think that could be because it's a Marcellus song, and Marcellus is a better singer in the 2003 version.
Yeah. Also, we didn't say this earlier, but both of the child actors are far better in the 2003 version.
Yeah, they are. They're more realistic as to how actual children act.
Yeah, and they're also
very
better.
Method.
They're also better singers.
Yeah, they're better singers, and one of them knows how to lisp.
Well, one of them doesn't know how to lisp. He's missing his 4 front teeth.
I know. Very method.
They cast a redhead with no front teeth.
Little Tommy, we're gonna need you to lose 4 teeth pretty quickly.
Come here, little Tommy. Bap.
Yeah, it's very method. So yeah, the child actors are better in the 03 version, and this number, I think I wrote down the ones where the 03 version is better, and this was actually one where I enjoyed the 03 version better. This for me was a low point, one of the low points in the 62 version.
Yeah.
So,
but the next version, I believe, is your favorite song from the whole show.
Yeah, and then we get to, actually, I think my favorite song for the entire musical, Marion the Librarian, is really cool.
And I think, as far as the versions between the 2003 and the 1962 version, I'm going to have to go with the 2022 version by Hugh Jackman.
Oh my god. So
watch... guys, look up the Hugh Jackman version. It's so good.
Yeah, it's him and Sutton Foster.
Yeah.
And it's really good. I will say, I really enjoyed the 62 version. So the 2000, this is another one of those instances where how the two movies were shot really impacted it for me. Because in the 62 version, you get these shots of the whole library where they're doing things.
Yeah.
And that is impressive. Like when they're tossing books back and forth and dancing and switching tables.
They also throw foreshadowing in.
Yes,
in a couple
they
of
do
places
foreshadow.
Where they show you she has this little dumb waiter with all these books on it for her to lift them up to the second floor.
Yeah.
And front and center is the Indiana Journal of Education.
Chekhov's Educational Journal.
Yeah.
It's appeared twice now in the movie. This is the second time it appears.
From 1895 to
So they foreshadow that twice. This is the second time we see it. And they don't do that in the 2003 version.
They don't mention it. They don't say anything. They show it.
It does get mentioned, but it doesn't get mentioned until like the Wells Fargo song.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed the 62 version better. I thought the little dance number with Chenoweth and Broderick was pretty good.
Was good. That
was good. But I just liked the 60 version better. And then Hugh Jackman's version was epic.
Oh my god, it was so good.
But I don't know. There was this one part, I think the reason the 62 version wins for me is when he's doing the like quiet foot tapping, the tapping with the kids at the table. I thought that was really cute. So
the whole thing is him trying to get Marion to go out with him in the library. And so while he's trying to convince her, they're all dancing around the library and he's showing these kids, he's getting these kids to put down their books and notice each other. Yeah, he'll there'll be two kids across from the table and he'll swap their books and they go, oh hey, and then they start pairing off and they become couples or whatever because the whole it's very much a Bugs Bunny song. Well, and again, the whole thing is throughout this whole musical, while he is conning this entire town, he's also bringing life and joy into it, and he's bringing life and joy and inspiring these kids to step out of themselves a little bit. Yeah, and honestly, I love how the song is written. It's really peppy. The rhythm is really cool. I love the shh where he's like, gotta be loud, I gotta be quiet, because he'll start singing something loudly and she'll be like shh, and then he'll sing it really quietly. And then she'll say something loud and he'll shh her. Yeah, and then I think it's like the bridge, like, what do I have? Da da ba da ba da ba da ba da 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 la da 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 da. It's really peppy and that song. The Librarian. Marion. Yeah, it's just it's probably my favorite number, and I love the opportunity you have with how you can stage it, and from a musical standpoint, it's a really good song. Yeah. And it's a good, there's and they do the joke in both numbers where it's just what book would you like to take out? And he goes, or what would you like to take out? And in both versions, he's like, the librarian. And it's just, the joke is it's good in every version I've seen it in. Yeah, so he's doing minimalist tap, and then it does turn into, instead of tap, it's soft shoe. Yeah, it's really cute. And then I think she tosses her glasses at one point, and I made a note, oop, she tossed her glasses. And it's she's still and in the 62 version, there's this, she's stamping books, ba, 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 and that's part of the rhythm, and that's missing in the 03 version, and I think it hurts that it's not there. Yeah. That her forcefully stamping... It's another great rhythmic device. Yeah, and her forcefully stamping the books is a really great choice in the 62 version. So, highlight for me, probably my favorite song of the musical. So, it was quite good. And also, the Hugh Jackman version was the best of the three we watched. But, I don't know. Now we move on. I have he's shooting his shot, but this ain't it, darling. No, she still is she's not there. And I appreciate it. She's not swoon. He's starting to break down her walls a little bit. She's warming up to the idea of the guy. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I also like about this is because you can see the progress of their relationship. I feel like it's earned. Yeah, and I don't think any relationship we've seen so far has been earned in a musical. Yeah. None of them are earned. I will say, too, there's one thing that they do in the Hugh Jackman version that they don't do in either of the other two versions that I thought was really cool. There's this, threat that he has this bag of marbles, and he will drop them and make all of this noise. No, they do that in the 62 version. No. Not to the extent. But. No, but he's going to drop these marbles and make all this noise, and at the very end, he pulls a marshmallow out of the bag and puts it in. Marshmallows. Yeah, that was pretty funny. They didn't do that in any of the other versions, and I liked that. But so I felt like mentioning that, but yeah. So we move past this number, back to the Peru household, where we see Hill talking to the mother, and he's talking to her about how Winthrop has
how she has
the
ganglion or something, like the perfect ganglion.
Yes, to be a cornet player. And he's
just like a joint.
He sells it. It's like, but unfortunately, he'll never be a truly amazing cornet player. She's like, why? He's like, well, all the best cornet players have been Irish. You have
Mendez,
Mendez, and O'Klein.
Irish is dead.
No, not O'Klein and Mendez.
It was great. It was really entertaining. But he convinces her that Winthrop needs to be in the band, and does
Winthrop's there.
Winthrop is there. Is he interacting with them at that point? I don't think
No, he's still not talking.
He's still not really talking.
And the whole conceit is that he hasn't talked more than like a few words a day since his father died.
Yeah. And so Marion comes home, and the widow is like, "Yeah, let's go ahead and sign him up." And they're talking to Marion about it, and Marion's like, "Well, I don't think it's a good idea." And Hill's like, "We have 1 for, 1 against. Let's ask the boy's father." And so this is the point in the musical where we learn that he's dead, and he steps in it hard.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that they included that, because, like, he's a fuck-up, and they show he's a fuck-up multiple times during the story. He's not, like, some infallible con man. He fucks up, and this is one of those moments where he does. But he learns about the father being gone and everything like that. And then
we go into, so this is before Marion gets there. He's like, so where are you from? Because she thinks he's Irish.
Oh, yeah, I forgot this number.
And he goes into Gary, Indiana, which is Indiana, Gary, Indiana, Gary.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we say it once again.
Which Winthrop will end up singing badly at one point.
Oh, adorably.
Yeah.
Not so adorably when Ron Howard does it.
Because he's got to do the bad lisp.
Because Ron Howard...
The only way a lisp will read is if you go...
Even if he's not lisping, he still sounds like he's strangling a cat.
Gary, Indiana.
It's so bad.
I know. He's a child actor, though. Like, you can't get mad at him. He's a really good director.
I can get mad at the casting director.
He fucks off, right, after this?
Yeah, and the mom starts talking to her about how she needs...
about make me some fucking grandbabies, which is a thing that happens when you're in your fucking 30s.
Yes.
Basically, it's what it's about. They don't really care about us being in relationships. They just want grandbabies.
Then we go into... So she's like, that's not the man that I want. And she goes into describing... So in the 62 version, she sings a song about describing the person she wants called Being in Love, which is my least favorite song. It's my least favorite song in the whole show.
Oh, it's really different here.
Yeah, I do not like Being in Love. I didn't like the way it was written, so I looked into it. And it turns out it was not in the original Broadway production. And in the 2003 version, there is a different song in it called My White Knight.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, in my opinion, a much better written song. Not lyrically, but as far as the melody goes. And the reason that they changed it is because Jones couldn't hit the high notes. Because Jones just doesn't have as high a voice as the person who originally did it. But, Kristen Chenoweth was a absolute...
Has the high notes
has high notes for days. Which if you've ever listened to or seen Wicked, you can find more about that.
I don't know. So I have different thoughts about the song. My big takeaway was I enjoyed that I felt like she had a healthy expectation of what she wanted in a relationship. I thought the lyrics were really good.
From a plot perspective, I thought it was good, but like I just didn't care for the song itself.
That one line where she's like, I want a guy that cares about...
both versions.
Yeah, and it's in both versions of the song. I want a guy who cares about me more than he cares about himself and cares about us more than he cares about me.
Yeah.
And I was like...
That's real profound.
Yeah, like I thought, because so many times these like female lead love songs are like, I want this and that, and it's very shallow to me a lot of times because it's like men writing women and not doing it very well. But this is one of the few times where I really felt like, wow, this is like something that I swear could be like someone's Tinder bio. Well, like this is a real life what someone wants in a relationship, and I thought it was really cool.
And also that's what it takes to really make a relationship work long term.
Yeah.
Another little bit of behind the scenes baseball. Elle and I have been married for 12 years.
12 years now? Yeah.
And the real secret to success behind our marriage is that
we're gonna be 13 this picture.
Both of us we look at decisions not necessarily based on what's best for either one of us individually, but what's best for our family. So it's never us against the other person. It's always
against a problem.
Us against the problem.
Yeah, and that's something that you kind of, like, I hope that everybody learns on their own, because I know that that's not necessarily a thing I learned from watching my parents interact and have problems.
Yeah.
So it's something that we've had to work at.
And communication. But this is not a marriage podcast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no. But yeah, I actually didn't hate this song. And it's not, I certainly don't think it's the worst song in the musical. We haven't gotten there yet.
No, I
You think it's worse than the other one?
I do.
Wow.
Because I don't have the same amount of vitriol for that as you do.
I also thought I actually liked Shirley Jones' performance a little better than Kristen Chenoweth's.
I liked Kristen Chenoweth's performance, but we don't have to review on everything.
Yeah, and maybe it's just because, like, I just really appreciate seeing Shirley Jones finally in a well-written female character.
After seeing her,
I'm like,
in
she
two
is
other ones.
so perfect for this. Like, she did such a good job.
Yeah.
And knowing, because, like, she's good in everything she's in, but she just had so much to work with in the show that I really enjoyed her performance.
So now we move into...
Wait, is there... There's a scene transition. Isn't this also the barbershop chorus is singing at some point too? Is this where this happens?
I don't have it down.
There's a scene, and I think it might be this one, where she sings Being in Love, or she sings a love song.
No, that's
this
next.
is later?
That's next.
Oh, excuse me. Is this after Wells Fargo Road?
Yes,
oh,
we
yeah.
are currently at
I'm
Wells
jumping
Fargo.
ahead. Please excuse me. This is the point in the show where I started noticing that in the 62 version, they're using spotlight transitions. It's very subtle. But what they do is the rest of the background kind of goes dark.
I didn't think it was that subtle.
Well, it's not like, whoop, like, it's well done. And I enjoyed the spotlight transitions because it makes it feel more like a show you would see on a stage.
Yeah, I wrote down that there's great lighting and blocking in this.
Yeah, I enjoyed the transition there.
So now we move into the Wells Fargo wagon. I'll go ahead and read my notes on here. This is the first time that we hear Winthrop sing. And my notes here said, oh, Jesus Christ, this kid's going to direct Apollo 13 one day.
My notes are, Wells Fargo wagon, oh shit, Winthrop spoke, oh no, the lisp is really bad, and it's contagious apparently. I think one of the other characters, I think the mayor hears them lisp and then lisps in turn. And during this scene also, the Wells Fargo wagon song, unobjectionable.
No,
it's a
great.
solid song.
The Wells
Both
Fargo
versions.
wagon comes running down the street.
Yeah.
So Lin-Manuel Miranda, do you remember the Wells Fargo scandal?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote
A parody
of this where it's the
Oh,
Wells
yeah.
Fargo wagon taking people's and like a Wells Fargo salesman comes in like Harold Hill and starts selling people bank accounts.
Oh god, that's so funny. It kind of reminded me of, like, because obviously this predates our modern society, but it kind of reminds me of, like, the joy around eBay when that was a thing coming out.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you find it on eBay, and just, like...
I got it on eBay.
Yeah, it's very much like, oh, we ordered this double boiler. I remember distinctly that a double boiler was one of the things that someone was waiting on from the Wells Fargo wagon, because, like, people back in the early 1900s, it wasn't online shopping, it was catalogs. Like, that's how Sears and Roebuck got their start, was you could go into a catalog and you could order a house.
Yeah.
And have it shipped to you.
The Craftsman house you could order from the Sears catalog. Which, I don't know if you ever made this connection, but what is the Sears brand of tools?
Craftsman, yeah. No, I did make that connection.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just kind of like, it's so funny that, like, 100 years later, things have changed, but things are still so much the same, where we're all waiting on our packages.
Yeah.
Still, it's just now you order them on your phone with a click
Amazon.
of a button, and you're waiting 24 hours.
Oh my god,
72
Shein
weeks.
is about to get me in trouble.
Oh, yeah, I know. You just gotta... You don't have the app, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But they're so cheap.
Just, no. It's bad for the environment.
I know. But what if I order
Not
a
one,
bunch of stuff?
Not one poop out of you, ma'am.
I have down here, oh my god, the hats. 2 lines later, I have, what was the hat budget on this movie?
So, in this scene, there is a plot point that's important.
Yes,
Chekhov's educational journal.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that the most important plot point is that Tommy keeps saying great honk. I'm like,
God.
Stop Stop trying to make Great Honk happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, he just keeps saying the fucking slang is hilarious.
It's Great Honk.
Yeah, I will say that the slang delivery is way better in the 62 version. There's a lot more commitment to it. In the 2003 version, it's like, you know.
Yeah, well, and I love, like, so, again, as far as things that we keep seeing in musicals, there is just a soupçon of dialect in this.
Oh, yeah.
But for the most part, it's done way better than we've seen in the Rogers and
also,
stuff.
it might not be as offensive to us because it's Midwest dialect.
Yeah, the worst that we see is Iowa.
And we're from Dallas. So, like, a non-regional, like, Midwest accent isn't that offensive to our ears.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, a Maine accent is so
a badly written Maine accent.
Yeah.
Well, I went to New England. I know what a Maine accent sounds like, and that ain't it.
Yeah, that's true. But, like, a Midwest accent, it's kind of harder to fuck up. I feel like general American English kind of sounds a little bit more like a Midwest accent.
Yeah.
Like, non-regional American... Well, not that transcontinental shit that was, like, made up, but, like, actual... When you think of an American, what do they sound like?
Yeah, so Chekhov's Educational Journal.
Yeah, so Chekhov's Educational Journal, the librarian has the Educational Journal, and she's like, talk to the mayor, and she's like, hey, I need you to read this, yada, yada, yada. And then Winthrop's coronet gets delivered.
And then,
he starts talking.
He starts talking and,
he's so
and rapturous
happy
about
and
it. And
it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. and she tears pages out of the book and hands it to the mayor.
Yeah, yeah. And then, like, they're actually talking. I have written down, like, they actually start talking to each other, and he's still an ass, though, and this is why we prefer the bear.
Oh, you're at Hill?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But honestly, like, I think this scene is really important for her character.
Yeah. And
we can talk about why later when we get to what happens in the end.
Once again, the mayor asks the Board of Education, whom he has now deputized.
Oh, but not before saying not one poop out of you to someone. It's in quotes here. I don't know who he says it to, but it's pretty funny.
So he deputizes the board of the Board of Education and asks them to get the guy's freaking thing to get his
credentials.
Get his credentials, and of course he
Looney Tunes them again.
He barbershops them into singing Light a Rose. Light a Rose, my Light a Rose.
Yeah.
Which is another beautiful barbershop song. And then
it gets paired with another song,
which is called Will I Ever Tell You, which is where when she goes home from the Wells Fargo wagon, she realizes that she's starting to fall for him.
Yeah. And this is the spotlight thing I was talking about. And I preferred this in the 62 version of the 2000. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. You don't see this particular staging choice ever again, pretty much. Like, this is not ever done in the same way. You see a similar thing in West Side Story, but it's not the same. So what they do is they bring up... So while the Barbershop Quartet is singing Light a Rose on the hotel steps, we pan over to see Marion singing Will I Ever Tell You, which is about whether or not she's going to confess that she's falling for him.
Is this the song where she sings Dream of Love or whatever?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because I wrote Dream of Love. I wrote the name down wrong.
And
I thought the arrangement was really beautiful.
Again, they counterpoint each other so well.
The arrangement was really beautiful, the way they put it together.
So they bounce back and forth between Light a Rose.
And you never lose sight of either group. They're both in frame the whole time. They frame them both in spotlight at the same time. And they're even framed similarly. Yeah, they're rocking chairs. Yeah, the bass in the barbershop is rocking in a chair to the rhythm of the song. Yeah. And so is her mother. It's really good. It's so well done. And it's fine in the 2003 one. It's not as good. But any number with the Barbershop Quartet is going to be outshined in the 62 version. Yeah. Yep. Because the Buffalo Bills are just masterful. Stellar, yeah. Oh, we're about to have the Charlie shows back up again. The animal guy? Not yet. Oh, I'm jumping ahead. I guess I didn't write notes.
So first we get Gary Indiana reprise.
Oh, the little boy sings Gary Indiana.
Yeah, well, Winthrop singing.
Even Tommy a song, Tommy a song.
Yeah, I was like, God, he's precious. Not much of a singer, though. Well done,
Gary
Opie.
Indiana.
Gary Indiana.
Oh, and you know what's interesting? In the 62 version, he gives the kid he gives him this like multi-tool or
Gives
whatever.
him a pocket knife.
Yeah, a pocket knife. And in the 2003 version, he takes him fishing.
He gives him something too, I think.
It's like worm. He's like
it's worms.
He's
yeah,
worms
it's
in a
worms.
jar, which I think that the 62 version's more realistic.
Yeah, because 2003 they don't want kids with knives.
Well, no, it's more realistic because he comes in talking about it like he's selling it, which means that the music man pulled this knife out and went, "Here you are, my fine boy. It does X, Y, Z, da 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 da," and that's exactly how he understands it and then communicates it to his family. And I can imagine him saying that to all of them.
And he's starting to have a pattern, just like a salesman.
Yeah, and it's really fucking funny as the daughter of a salesperson
who does that too.
Yeah, like,
oh my god.
Yeah.
So speaking of marriage things, my wife will I would say attempt to, but 9 times out of 10 it works. Sell me on things, and it's so annoying
to do it either, because when you grow up, so when you're a little kid and your dad's trying to sell you on an idea of doing something so that you cooperate, that's how you will learn to English. So, yeah, unfortunately, sometimes if I want my way, I don't intentionally do it. I try really hard not to, but I will unintentionally sell something, and
I can tell when you're doing it too.
So in my mind, while I like the 2003 version, because he gets to go on a quality time adventure, realistically, he sold him a pocket watch that he sold him a pocket knife that he didn't have to pay for, and now they're singing Gary Indiana and they're best friends.
Yes. Now we meet the Anvil Salesman.
Yes. So all this happens, and I think, like, at this point, we're like, it seems like Marion's really warming up to him because of what's going on with Winthrop and yada yada. And
now we're moving into the last day. It is now the 4th of July.
Yes, because it's been the 3 weeks leading up to the 4th of July, right? Because that's how long it takes for the uniforms to get there.
Yes.
So the instruments have showed up, the instruction booklets have showed up. Men, don't forget your minuet and G. The think method.
God,
we need to talk about the think method.
We're going to talk about the think method. Go ahead.
So we're covering 2 musicals, so we're kind of bouncing back and forth. But earlier, there's like a malt shop scene where they're talking about Marion is actually taking him seriously, at least willing to engage him in conversation. And then she goes, "Well, Winthrop won't touch his coronet. He said that he just has supposed to think about it or something." And he's like, "Oh yeah, the think method." And he's like, basically just think the minuet in G and you'll be able to play the minuet in G. And that's like his thing. They go into band practice and they hum the minuet in G. And Tommy like conducts them while they hum the minuet in G. And he fucks off by himself.
What is that tune? I can't think of it now.
I can't either. It's fine. I have too many songs with musical in my head.
I keep wanting to go pomp and sing. Da, 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 da,
no, that's
all.
No, that's not it. but yeah, so that happens beforehand. So she, I think by this point knows he's full of shit.
No, she knows he's full of shit from the minute she reads the journal.
Yeah. Oh, Chekhov's journal. We haven't gotten to that. Because
he graduates from.
We haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, no, we've gotten there.
No, like that's that scene where we find out the reveal.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sure.
But so Anvil Salesman shows up.
Yes, and so this is the same Anvil Salesman from the very first scene, and he's he's creepy as hell.
He drops the anvil though, and I did
every time he drops his bag, he does it 3 times.
It's funny.
Every time he drops, it goes clang.
I laughed the first time for sure. I was not expecting that.
Drops it goes clang.
Yeah, this musical continuing to be a Looney Tunes episode, and in the 62 version, we get a habanera drop.
Yeah, when it's her trying to schmooze the guy, because he comes back to spill the beans to the mayor about Hill.
And he's got 15 minutes before his train leaves.
15 minutes to do it. He does, in fact, miss his train.
Yeah, which is why we end up seeing him later. But he is clearly interested in her and grows
being
about
really
it.
skeevy
and
about
in the 62 version, you can see Mom in the living room, and she turns on a record, and it's Habanera from Bizet's Carmen. Which Habanera... Habanera from Carmen... Habanera from...
Na, 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 na.
I'm gonna edit this episode and I'm gonna cut that out just to spite you.
Na, 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 na. Dun, 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 dun.
So,
Dun, dun, dun.
you can finish by yourself if you want. It's fine. I've already recorded an hour. You're good. Are you done?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay. So, I'm literally not going to explain it. Everyone can Google fucking Habanera. So Habanera is the song from Carmen, and Carmen is like this, portrayed as like this seductress. She's a lead role that's actually a mezzo. But this song is about...
That's a mezzo-soprano for those of you who are uninitiated.
Uninitiated? Let that poop out of you.
What's your phraseology?
But in the song, which is in French, but you don't actually hear her singing the lyrics or anybody singing the lyrics. The song is like, she basically strings men along. Like, guard your heart for me. Like, you know, you better watch out. Like, you're just going to get hurt if you fall in love with me. And it's very seductress, you know. And that's what's playing on the record player. And she has this kind of like weird, dancey, talky, flirty, singy scene with him. And then like eventually she just grabs him and takes one for the team and kisses him. And then you hear the
drops
train.
The thing.
Bang,
clang.
and then you hear the train and she's like, you better go catch your train, bitch. And he's like, you harlot, I can't leave. You can't be trusted. And he runs away. But that scene doesn't really take place the same way in the 2003 version. They leave out the habanero reference.
Which is a shame.
But I really liked that.
And then, so, she delays him. Hill shows up. And,
I think there was interesting camera work following that scene. So. Oh, and Hill shows back up. Sorry, please continue.
Yeah, so Hill shows back up, and this is when they, like, hardcore fall for each other.
Yeah.
And they're, like, full on. She's goo-goo-eyed, literally goo-goo-eyed.
Yeah.
At him, and you know, there's about to show up to the sociable.
She's, like, worried because our Anvil salesman, when he's leaving, says something about how he's got a woman in 102 counties or whatever.
Yeah, he's got and 100 music teachers just like her.
And she's just, like, kind of hurt by this. And so their whole interaction is, like, she's kind of not sure. And he came to call because she said he could call, and they're going to talk to the Think System. But she's kind of feeling insecure, but they kind of work through it and talk it out, and they seem to... Is there a musical number here? Or
no.
Okay, it's just talking. They seem to work it out, and... there's this one line where she's like, I'd rather do it tomorrow, and it's something about, like, putting it... If you put off everything to tomorrow, or... It's another, like, good sales line, also sort of profound sounding.
If you keep putting off till tomorrow, you'll be left with a nothing but empty yesterdays.
It was a really good line. And so she's like, yeah, I'll meet you at the footbridge.
In 15 minutes.
In 15 minutes.
And she's not dressed.
And she's not dressed. She's got to go get dressed. I'm like, this is unrealistic.
For the sociable.
Yeah, for the sociable.
And we all know how much corsetry goes into this shit.
And then we get...
Except for in the 62 version, because she's very pregnant.
So we get the best line from Mom. She comes out, and she's like, yeah, I'm going to go meet him, yada, yada. And Mom's like, oh, heavens, it does work. I was using the Tink system on you from the parlor. And it's, like, epic. It's, like, the best line in the musical. So I was like, oh, man, I'm vibing. The plot is humming. Things are going along. We've got this Anvil salesman running around. Like, they're going to hook up. I'm like, everything is going. I'm like, wow, I'm really enjoying this musical. Like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong in how negatively I view musicals. Maybe I just haven't seen enough good ones. Maybe I'm just being unfairly harsh. And then...
Shapoopy, shapoopy. No, girl, that's hard to get. Shapoopy, shapoopy. But you can win her, yes.
Yeah, I just fucking hate this song.
This song has no plot.
It's trash.
It's awful. Buddy Hackett sings it, and Buddy Hackett can't sing. So it's at the sociable, and it's an in situ dance number.
It's awful.
It's a dance number. It's a song about a dance, and they do a dance, and they dance.
It's like the 1910 version of the Macarena, and it's goddamn awful.
Yeah,
it's like Oklahoma. Have yourself a pretty little clam bake levels of bad.
Have yourself a merry little clam bake. What?
I forget the name of the clam bake song.
It's called Clam Bake.
It's not called anything else?
No, it's called
It's like a fine day for a clam bake.
I think it's called a nice clam bake or something like that.
It's that level of fucking bad. It's so bad.
If you look up the word shapoopy on Urban Dictionary, it literally says a shapoopy is an unearned dance number.
It's so bad.
Yeah, it's
and
terrible.
It grinds everything to a halt. And
it
it's
takes so long. It's a long, not very good dance number.
It's like if you're gonna go watch the Music Man live, this is where you get up and go pee.
Not really, because there's only 45 minutes left of the thing.
I know. It's almost like that's the only thing I could think. But then they also have an intermission when you see it live. So what's the point in putting the shit in here?
Yeah, no, it's bad. It's not good. It's not earned. There's no plot in it.
I will say though that it does remind me that I am still myself and that I do not have Stockholm syndrome. Also, I would like to point out a very nerdy reason that I don't like Shibuya.
Yes, please talk to us. So you're going to have to explain what the hell you're talking about.
Okay. So, everybody has a vague understanding of what solfege is. Have you ever heard that song?
No one's ever heard the word solfege.
Well, they know what it is. They might not know what the word means, and I'm about to explain it, so thank you for interrupting me.
Oh, please do,
dear. You know the song.
You know, do,
a deer, a female deer, ray, a drop of golden sun.
We're watching this next.
Okay. We could also watch The King and I.
It's a good transition.
Okay, so yes. Well, I guess we'll watch... What is this singing?
It's... Sound of Music.
I've never seen The Sound of Music. I just know the song. Give me a break. Okay, so the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do is called solfege. Solfege is... Okay. So, when you're playing an instrument, like a piano, right, and you want to play something in the key of C, your hands will be in a certain place, you'll play a certain set of keys. You want to play it in, like, the key of F, you're going to move and play something in a different location. Like, if you're playing something in different places on a different instrument, you can physically move. But it's hard to tell someone to do that when they're singing. It's easier to teach you intervals between notes.
Yes.
Right? So there's...
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
Ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. So there is a set interval or set distance between these different notes. And you can move this, well, at least where we are in this part of the country, in our education system.
There's also a really great song from Steven Universe with it.
Oh, I don't remember that. But
with Steven and Peridot?
You'll have to remind me later. I'm really trying to get this point home,
Sorry.
Not in 40 minutes. So, with solfege, do, that first note, is movable. You can start do anywhere you want and sing that scale all the way through. And it's the kind of thing they do in barbershop choruses, too. When they do these pitches, they're giving you these different intervals. So solfege is used in music education to help singers figure out distances between notes and how it feels in your voice without being able to physically look at an instrument and play different notes. And they use solfege in Shapoopy. There's this one line where it's like, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, and they want to say the word do, si, do, and C is not correct there.
There is no C.
It's T. It's do, ti, do, and it pisses me off every time I fucking hear it, and they keep singing it over and over again in this really awful, annoying song. And the solfege is wrong, and it just pisses me off. And yeah, that's...
So it is, finally...
Yeah.
And they sneak off to the footbridge. Marion and Hill says maybe it's footbridge in 15 minutes, and they go.
Yeah, they go to the footbridge. There's also like weird random drive-by dancers.
Yeah, those are the kids making out at the footbridge.
Yeah, but it's like funny because like they like dance by like
yeah,
and they like dance around.
Very,
it's like
very musical thing to do.
Yeah. I was like, what a weird choice with the drive-by dancers. Then there's a song. Till There Was You. Ah,
yes, Till There Was You, which, if anybody else is a 90s baby like me, remember the Adam Sandler movie, The Wedding Singer? The Till There Was You is the song that he is teaching the little old lady to sing at her wedding anniversary, which just makes me think of her great wish, which was to be in a swimming pool full of noodles.
You are mixing two movies. That is Patch Adams.
I'm mixing Patch Adams, the same actress.
Oh, no shit. Didn't know that. Okay.
I
was like, because I don't remember The Wedding Singer very well.
This is the one.
This is
the one where she breaks into Rapper's Paradise instead. No, Rapper's Delight.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious.
The hip it to the hip it to the hip hip hop.
Yeah. I do not remember The Wedding Singer very well.
I watched it a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why.
Is it worth a rewatch?
It's good.
Is it a musical?
Sort of. In that there's kind of, yeah. I guess you could kind of call it a jukebox musical. There are scenes. He's a wedding singer, so he's singing.
Yeah.
And then they bring in Billy Idol, and he steals with Billy Idol's guitar. This is not what we're talking about.
This number, though, Till There Was You, is so good.
It's very pretty.
Shirley Jones is fucking peak. Excellence. It is such a good number for her. I loved it. It was great.
I actually like Chenoweth's version better.
I actually had no notes about Chenoweth's version in this song.
She hits those beautiful high notes.
I just think that Shirley Jones acts it better.
Yeah. Shirley Jones acts it better.
I do feel like Chenoweth struggles with her acting.
Chenoweth sings it better.
Because she's a stage actress. I feel like some of Chenoweth's choices, I don't know.
But anyway, so they finally confess their love to each other. He gets called off by Marcellus Wallace to go look at a thing in a case. Wait, wrong movie.
Say his name again?
But he gets called off by Marcellus, and the uniforms have showed up. So now it's a time for him to leave.
He's got a bowl. He's got to leave with his hand in the cookie jar
because the anvil salesman has come in and spilled the beans too.
Yeah. So
now it is time to go.
So we go from 15 minutes of wasting absolute time with Shapoopy to everything accelerates at 2x, 3x speed now.
Yeah, like we gotta go, and now we have
torches. They literally have
torches and
tiki torches. Like they grab the torches from the party, and they're looking for this man who's going to tar and feather him.
So, and in the '62 version, Marion goes home, and he follows her. Like he goes to Marion's house to have like an intimate, close moment with her, and they don't do it the same in the 2003 version. I didn't like the way they did it in that one.
Yeah.
But this is when they bring in one of the coolest pieces, like of the musical foreshadowing. She sings.
This is what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, so she sings the "Good Night, My Someone," counterpointed by Hill singing 76 trombones, and we find out that they are the same song slowed down.
Yeah, it's the same song.
It is the exact same melody. And then they meld it into each other, and you're like, no way!
It's pretty cool, yeah. that fucking musical foreshadowing, Chekhov's melody.
Good night, my someone, goodbye, my love.
And you're like, oh my god! Yeah, it's really clever writing. There's still the confrontation with Winthrop in both versions. Where Winthrop's like, you're a big nasty liar.
Oh, this was a good. It's
a good
really
scene
really good humanizing point for him. Yeah,
I say Broderick handles it just as well as Preston does.
Yes, like oh my god, finally getting something genuine out of Broderick.
He struggled.
He really struggled in this movie, which is surprising to me because I love Matthew Broderick. But
maybe
the funny thing is
bad direction.
I took a think about the roles that I've loved Matthew Broderick in. And what are the big three that I've always liked him in were the producers, Inspector Gadget, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And in all three of those, he plays an awkward, shy fish out of water.
Yeah.
And that is not Harold Hill.
Not at all. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't have that cock of the walk swag.
No, he has no swagger. He's got no riz.
No, he doesn't. But he does have a really good emotional moment. They both have a really great emotional moment with Winthrop, where he's like, "Look, I'm bigger than you, and you're not gonna wiggle away. So you got to listen to me for 2 seconds." And he's like, I will answer your questions. And he's just like, well,
are you a liar?
Yes, I'm a liar. Is there gonna be a band? Can you play an instrument? Can you lead a band? No, I can't. Like,
Are you a crook?
Yes. Yep.
And then he's like, you're a liar and a crook. And he's like, well, you said you wanted the truth.
You're going to get the truth. You deserve the truth. And then he says, like, you're a good boy. And
you're a good kid. I've always liked you. That's why I wanted you in the band, because I got tired of looking at you moping around and feeling sorry for yourself. And I wanted to give you something to do.
And it's a really good moment.
And he doesn't run.
He just says, like, and Marcel's like, you got to get out. And he's like, got caught with my foot in the door. And he doesn't run. He stays.
Yeah, he stays.
And they capture him.
And they take him to trial.
Yeah, the city hall place. It's not really a trial so much because, like, it's not like they didn't bring him up on charges. It's going to be like, vigilante.
They're going to lynch him.
Yeah, it's like they're going to tar and feather him. It's going to be vigilante justice. It's not like a trial like Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So they take him to the place, and this happens in both versions. Where they take him to like the same kind of hall where they had the original you know.
Yeah, it's the school gymnasium.
Yeah, like this gymnasium. They take her to the gymnasium, and Marion gets up and does this great speech. And at this point, she's mentioned it a couple of times, and we didn't really talk about it earlier when they had their scene, where she had, you know, the really beautiful scene where she talked about how she felt about him. She knows he's a con artist.
Yeah, she's known the whole time.
But she loves him for what he's done for the town. She loves him for bringing Winthrop out of his shell. And she says, basically, like, look how everybody has been in this town for 3 weeks waiting on this boys band. How happy this man has made all of you. Like, you all owe him your thanks. Like, he's done a great service for all of you. He's made you happy. He's brought you joy. Doesn't matter, you know, like, that's something you should stand up for. And people start standing up. Even Eulalie stands up and says that she thinks that he's an okay
Sit
guy.
down!
And then the mother in both versions yanks her back up.
Yeah, and it's really good. And so they bring him in, and they're like, well, where's this band then? I don't see a band. Where's the band?
And Tommy Giles comes and saves the day.
Yeah, Tommy Giles comes in, leading them in.
With the
and
drums.
He leads in the 62 version. This is one of the things that pissed me off.
Yeah, this is
the whole time is like, you have a big pants with a big stripe up the leg.
Winthrop's like, I want a stripe.
I want a stripe.
And like, I can't even do the back.
So they come in and they're wearing the uniforms. The pants don't have a stripe in the 62 version.
The 2003 version, the pants do have a stripe. So There's definitely a continuity error with the costumes.
Yes, made me angry. But anyway,
yeah.
He and they're like, all right, fine, band's here. Let's hear him play.
And she in both versions, Marion goes and gets this big ruler,
blackboard
snaps
pointer,
it in half, and hands it to him, and he's there in handcuffs, and he just starts directing them.
The handcuffs. And the band is terrible. Like, they are just as bad as anybody can imagine a band having played for 4 weeks being. But that being said, they're no worse than any band of a group of people who's been playing for 4 weeks would be.
They're just middle school kids who suck at band instruments. And the parents react just like middle school parents around the world react every year during band concerts.
And they're like, oh, it's little Timmy. Oh,
little Johnny's playing his trombone.
Play for me, Timmy.
And the parents lose their shit. They're so proud of their kids' bad playing because
they're parents.
At their fucking age, doesn't matter if they're good at the cornet. Like, they're just kids playing instruments, and it makes everybody happy. And I love that the ending is like an accurate middle school band concert.
Yeah, and then, so for the ending, they do a little dream transition into like a year later or whatever, and Hill is still there, and he's dressed in a big, flashy band leader outfit, and he's leading a huge marching band down the street. And in the 62 version, they actually got the USC and UCLA marching bands to fill these roles, and there were in fact 90 trombones.
So many goddamn trombones.
So many trombones. But yeah, that was the end, and that's how it ends. And that was Meredith Willson's The Music Man.
Do I have any other notes? No, I think we've covered everything between the two.
Give us our ratings.
Yeah, let me do that. Okay. Let's see. I have the page where all the ratings are at. Because I'm trying to keep us all consistent. God damn it, I got that out of my head! And now it's back. Alright. Music Man. Okay. Alrighty. So, how do we rate... Oh, we have 62 and 2003, so...
Yes. 03.
03. Okay, class of 07. Okay. So how do we rate the singing?
Oh, by the way, the whole thing with the Indiana State Journal is he said that he's from Gary, Indiana, and graduated from Gary, Indiana Conservatory gold medal class of '05. She goes in and does research. Gary, Indiana was built until 06.
Yeah. So, yeah, and they set off. He said he pays off everything he sets up. Yeah. It's very well done in that regard. So how do we rate the singing in the 62 version?
It's good. It's solid, with the exception of Hackett and Opie. Yeah,
I do feel like I have to dock it because I give Carousel a 9. I don't think there was any bad singing in Carousel.
Yeah.
So I do think I have to dock it because of Buddy Hackett, and I have to dock it because of fucking Shaboobie.
Well, that's not the singing. That's
the singing. He can't.
That's music composition, isn't it?
No, but the singing. Buddy Hackett has several numbers, and he's not a good singer.
Yeah, I'll give it a. Yeah, that's fair. I'd give it a.
I'm gonna give it an 8.
I'd say an 8. Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay. How is the do we want to rate the singing in this one?
Yeah, we'll do the
okay, singing in the 2003 version.
The singing in the 2003 version was fantastic. I would put the singing in the 2003 version. I don't know, man.
Because Broderick is not Preston.
Not good.
So it's like we trade Broderick not being good for having better side characters.
Yeah.
And I don't think that equals out. I think like a 7.
I'm going to give it a 7.5.
Okay, yeah, that's fair, because I know you were really a big fan of Chenoweth, and I think she's good, but I don't think she's good enough to save Broderick.
Yeah.
It's not bad. If you listen to the 2003 version of The Music Man, you're not going to be like, wow, this sucks. But having seen the 62 version is better overall.
Yeah.
So, okay, how would we rate the acting in the 62 version?
It's great.
Yeah, the kids are bad, though.
I still give it a 9.
I'm going to give it an 8.
Okay, I'm going to give it a 9.
I'm going to give it an 8. Okay, you're going to give it a 9. How would you rate the 2003 version's acting?
I've got to give it like a 7.
I'll go, I think I'm going to go...
Maybe lower.
I think I'm going to go 6.
I'm going to say 6.5.
Okay. All right. Set design, the 62 version.
Yeah, just because the acting... it just wasn't there. The direction wasn't there.
The biddies weren't as good.
Yeah,
the biddies weren't as good. The mayor wasn't as good in the 2003
version. His wife wasn't as good. It just wasn't as good.
I'm worried a 6 isn't high enough. I think a 5 might be better, actually. But then I gave Guys and Dolls had Marlon Brando in it.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 5, actually. I'm going to mark my 6 down to a 5 for the 2003 version.
Okay.
Because I feel like the acting in Guys and Dolls was pretty solid compared to, like Oklahoma, which I gave a 3. Okay. See, having all the ratings for our previous watches really helps me figure out how to rate things.
Gonna need more pages.
I know. Okay, so set design for the 62 version.
I think both set designs were fine.
Yeah.
I have no problems with the set design. I thought that, in fact, there were several sets on there which I thought were pretty impressive.
I also felt like it was nice because at no point during the 62 version did I go, oh, I'm on a soundstage. Yeah. That was kind of
even though several of them were on sound stages.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7.
I'm gonna go more than that. I thought they were great. I'm gonna give it a solid 8.
Okay, solid 8 on set design. What about this 2003 version?
I'm also gonna give it an 8.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a 7 just because it's solid execution. It's passing, but there was nothing exceptionally exciting or daring. And in Oklahoma, they had some really interesting stuff that they did. They shot and they missed. I think it's a competently executed on both. I'm going to give them 2 7s because both are competently executed, but there's nothing really exceptional or exciting about the set design in either one of them. So, yeah. Especially because I gave Guys and Dolls a 3 and Carousel a 5. And I feel like Carousel... Why did I give Carousel a 5?
For the set design? Because it was all sound stages.
Carousel wasn't all sound stages.
Yes,
Carousel was all outdoors.
No, it was all sound stages.
No, you're thinking of Oklahoma.
Oh, Guys and Dolls.
Guys and Dolls was all set stages. That was a 3. I gave Carousel a 5. And also, am I viewing this better because I just overall liked it better?
Probably, but that's fine.
Okay, so we're going to stick with this 7.
This doesn't have to be objective.
Well, just to me, it's important. I'm going to knock my 7s to 6s. No, I'm going to give it 7s. They were competent sound stages. Also, since I gave this a 7, I'm actually going to bump my 5 in Carousel to a 6. Because okay. I don't understand why I gave it a 5. There wasn't anything glaringly wrong with Carousel set design. Okay, costuming. Although I might need to go back and listen to that later and figure it out. Costuming. How do you feel about that?
Solid. Very pretty. Awesome. I loved the hats. The hats were fantastic. I'm going to give it 8.5.
Okay.
The 2003 one, I will rate significantly lower.
Less interesting hats?
Yeah. They weren't as interesting. I'm going to give the 2003 version 7.5.
7.5.
Because there wasn't anything wrong with it. It's just the hats weren't quite as impressive, except for the Kristen Chenoweth's 2 last hats.
I'm going to give them...
Actually, I'm going to dock it down to 8 because of the stripe thing.
Okay, so an 8 for you. I'm going to lean on a 7. I feel like I'm doing a lot of 7s, but it's just competently executed across the board. I'm going to give the 2003 version... I'll also give it a 7 because it has the stripes. Why did I do
Marked
this?
down with 6.
I know, I didn't mean to. I thought 7 and wrote 6. I just wanted to put a lot of scribbles on here. Okay. Music composition, which is going to be the same for both.
10.
I'm giving it a 9. No. I hate Shapoopy.
I think Shapoopy's a well-written song.
I fucking hate it. I don't care.
I think it's a well-written song as far as...
It's lazy drivel.
I
It
think
kills the plot.
that's not having anything to do with musical composition.
It is... The numbers like Shapoopy are the reason I hate musicals.
Then you rate yours.
Okay, you're giving it a 10?
I will be talked down to a 9.5.
Okay, because of Shapoopy?
Sure. But that music...
I am going to give it...
I think it's fucking awesome. I think this is one of the most original musical compositions that I've ever seen. And since
I'm going to give it an 8.
An 8?
Because I gave Carousel an 8, and there was not a song in Carousel that I thought was badly written. My problems with Carousel were plot, not music. I thought Carousel was really beautiful. And, well, I don't know, I hated the Clam Bake song. I'm gonna give it a 9. Okay, I will give it a 9. Okay, and it'll be a 9 in both versions.
Yeah, because it's the same.
Okay. Alright, so what is your overall rating?
For
62.
The 62, I'm going to rate it an 8.5.
8.5? Okay, that's higher than Carousel for you. I'm going to give it an 8, because that's the highest rating I've given any musical so far.
But you liked it better than Carousel.
I know, I gave Carousel a 7.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just not a 10 for me. The dancing is not good, and we don't have a dancing category. We should add a dancing category.
Sure, choreography is the word you're looking for.
Choreography. And that's the thing is, like, for me, the dancing isn't important, but, like, objectively to me, that some people go to musicals for the dancing, and the dancing was not good.
Yeah.
So, like, if I were to add a choreography category, I'd get, like, a 4. And that would bring this overall score down. So I think an 8 is very fair, because the choreography in Carousel was amazing.
You changed mine.
No, I didn't. You said you wanted to give it an 8.5 overall.
Did I?
Yeah, you just said that.
Oh, yeah, sorry, that was the...
Yeah, so my overall score is an 8. For the 62 version. For the 2003 version, I'm gonna give it, like... I just didn't enjoy it. Broderick really fucking killed it for me. I'm gonna give it
I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
6.5 for you.
Yeah. Which means it was fine. It wasn't offensive.
I'm gonna give it a 6.
Okay.
I just thought the directing was really bad. Yeah. We should go back and add a choreography note in the previous ones too.
Yeah, I'd have to rewatch them though.
But yeah, so really it was a solid musical. I would go see it live. I wish I could see Hugh Jackman do it. I think that'd be really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if your local theater is producing a Music Man, you go take your cranky friend. They might enjoy it.
You're my cranky friend.
I am. Mwah. But yeah, it was a good watch. It was the first one that I didn't just objectively hate, and I've been humming it all week. And now that we've done this episode, I can stop humming it. I can move on to something else.
Just say that. Yeah, and the something else we will be moving on to is yet another Rodgers and Hammerstein presents The Sound of Music, starring Julie Andrews.
Hopefully we will get some correct solfege.
This is one of the foundational solfege musicals.
Yes. Okay. So you guys have a fantastic day. Be kind to each other. Save your hate for musicals and not each other.
Or certain presidential candidates. Just fuck them.
No, we're not doing that. Have a good one. Bye.